What's good, y'all? Boy, Flan Speech just sitting there watching, man, a replay of this Bengals versus the Pittsburgh Steelers. This game that everybody was so impressed with because these quarterbacks throwing the ball all over the place. All I see is two teams that the Eagles would just destroy. So I don't even really, I'm not impressed. But just a quick word, man. Somewhat of a half behind response towards the Stephen A. Smith, Jasmine Crockett thing, which is a hot topic right now and all over the place. And I see Stephen A. Smith just won't let it go. He want to keep talking about it, whatever. Listen, I just gave my opinion on it, man, how I see it. But I noticed a couple of you in the comment section. Y'all coming with different points of view, man. Now, as far as the guy, y'all dudes who have a legitimate agreement with Stephen A. Smith, listen, I don't understand where you're coming from, but that's your business, bro. You know what I mean? But there's a couple of y'all in here, man. I'm just trying to let you know about me. I don't know if you just the first time ever visiting my channel. I don't know if you intend on coming back or not. Some people are just some timers. I don't know if you subbed or not, but one thing I really would appreciate that you do with me is don't bring all that language about simping and all that stuff my way, bro. I don't know. It might be a generational thing, but I'm just trying to tell you, I'm not part of that community, my brother. I'm not part of that community that deals in men versus women. I'm not part of the Kevin Samuels group. I'm not part of the Fresh and Fit thing. I'm not a part of the, alpha male, beta male, sigma male stuff. You know what I mean? I've read books on that stuff. I've listened to many lectures on it and all of that. And I don't agree with half of that stuff, man. Some of the stuff has some truth in it. But for the most part, I decide I'm not part of that group. What I'm a part of is nation building, okay? Nation building, it deals with the need for both the male and the female. Whether you're talking the divine feminine or divine masculine, if we're talking spiritual language or you're talking real concrete language. I'm about the nuclear family. Why would I engage? And I don't understand why any man really puts a lot of energy to, this coming at women. I got all these big criticism towards just women in general, and why do women engage in the same thing with men? And then the men who engage in it simply because women are engaging in it, bro. Bro, you got to learn. You got to learn how to really come across. And first, you have to be principled in your stances. You have to be knowledgeable, and then you have to know how to present your argument in a way that convinces others. Like those women that are engaging in all of that, they hate men, blah blah blah. First of all, you got to figure out where does that come from. Were they growing up in a house where there wasn't a father present? Were they listening to a mother who, unfortunately, maybe had a lot of grievances with the person that she decided to lay down with, that led to her being that way, and has this engineered the daughter to think that way? Maybe she's just coming off of a relationship last week and she feels bad. Maybe she's part of that community, the LGBT community, and there's grievances towards men that maybe they have. I don't know, right? But you should try to figure out why people think the way they think. And then once you know why, then you can kind of figure out a cure, how to advise people away from that stuff. But what you shouldn't do as a man is just because you keep hearing women out there talking about, men ain't this, men ain't that, you shouldn't do the opposite. Because once you do that, that woman becomes your leader. You understand? That's what you're doing because you're acting as a reactionary person. And that ain't it, right? So you had one guy come in, called me a simp, right? And bro, I don't really know what your background is or what meaning you have. Like, I recall when the word was first used, it's a play on word from pimp. You know, um, you know what a pimp is, I'm sure. A pimp is just an individual that uses his ability to uses his riz and he uses his charisma to convince women, and in some cases actually men these days, right, to make money for them by selling their bodies, right? With the idea that hey, one day you're going to be out of it. So basically, you're selling a person a dream. You're selling these women this dream that one day we're going to all be rich, we're going to be all up in mansions, we're going to all be independent. But in order to get there right now, you got to do this couple things for me. Okay? Right? That's really the basis of the pimp game. SIMP is the idea of, it's the idea of an insincere man who is really trying to attract women. But in his attempt to attract women, what he's doing is he talks down about men, plays men, thinking that this will attract women to him, right? So he's using the whole man versus woman dichotomy and speaking the language that he thinks women want to hear in order to attract them to him. That's a simp, right? So I don't know why you would think that would apply to me when I'm talking about Stephen A. Smith versus Jasmine Crockett. Like the nature of what I'm talking about, Jasmine Crockett, I'm not even looking at her as a woman necessarily. I'm looking at her as a congressperson who is speaking against, Donald Trump, a person I'm opposed to. It has nothing to do with trying to attract Jasmine Crockett or other women, so it's a misplaced thing, and it's ignorance on your part, brother, to come at me in that way. Like, it appears to me, though, in this day and age, you're influenced by people who put it out there, who make it seem like any type of effort to be nice to a woman, to speak good of a woman, to admire any quality of a woman is simping, And if you caught up in that, that's sad, bro. Right? And back to what I'm talking about. I'm a nation builder, right? Because that's what Abraham was. Okay? Abraham was given land, okay, and he was also given a blessed seed. Right? These are the building blocks to a strong society. Abraham in the Quran himself is called a nation unto himself. He was blessed with two nations. Nation building, you need men and women. There is no nation building without that. Okay? You have to have man, woman, child, bro. So me as a person, who has wife, I have daughters, I got sisters, I got a mother, I got grandmothers, bro. Like, I'll never be part of your little community where, women ain't shit, women ain't this, you got this. I don't know what type of time y'all on. I think it's a very counterproductive, harmful movement that you brothers is out here with, man. Kevin Gates, to me, is a straight sucker. I mean, not Kevin Gates, I'm sorry. Kevin Samuels, this guy who just passed, man. Not to speak on the dead, but I used to look at his videos and laugh at that stuff, man. High quality women, no women is worth this, and if you have 5 kids, you're not valuable, and this, bro. All of that is just trash, man. The reality is that people, beauty and those types of things are in the eyes of the beholder. I've seen women who supposedly high value, but beautiful, got degrees and all that kind of stuff, fall for men who will latch on to them and sit around the house playing Nintendo all day or PlayStation all day while she go out and work. High value woman. And I've seen the reverse where the woman is a bum and the guy goes, like, those are private situations that are unions that were decided by those two people, right? The way you counter all of that is really women, you should never be dealing directly with a Kevin Samuels. A dude like that is a sucker. The way it's done is, like, let's say I have a daughter or 2 daughters. Traditionally, the way it works is the only way you're going to get to my daughters is through me. I'm going to decide whether or not you're worthy of her. You know what I mean? But before that happens, I'm going to prepare her. I'm going to make sure she's well educated. She understands her rights. She understands her obligations to her husband. She's giving me an idea of what she's looking for. All of those different types of things. So you got to get through me. So all the bullshit and all the playing and all that kind of stuff, you know what I mean? It ain't working. I'm what you call a traditionalist, right? And when you talk about the marriage bond, man, like, I don't know, maybe y'all guys ain't even into that because you're going down City Hall and you counting on them to oversee your marriages. I don't do that, right? My marriage really traditionally was never in the hands of the government, and it shouldn't be in the hands of the government. It's basically a contract between a father and a prospective groom, between a father and a prospective groom. And I'm handing over my daughter to you. That's why, even in like the traditional Christian weddings, there's the groom, waiting, traditionally waiting with the priest. Then what? The father's bringing the daughter down, and he's symbolically handing her over to him. You understand what I mean? So understand the wisdom that's put in traditions, and it's a thing between God, right, and the union of those two people, and then the public to a degree. It's important for the public to know that you're married, though. So that's why traditionally you have witnesses, right? Best man, all those types of things. So even in the tradition I follow, all you got to have is the groom, the father, and the daughter. But the father's already checked this guy out, right? And then also the other thing with marriage, you got to partly see it not only just a love thing, but also as a business proposition, because what you're doing is you're bringing together two families, and two families have assets. It's not just you and it's not just bride and groom. The bride typically has a family, has a father, has mother, has brothers, all of that. And the same thing with the groom, has a full family. When these come together, this is how you build tribe. This is how you build tribes and clans. All right, society is what? Based on these, society breaks down into these different groups. First is the individual, who is an entity unto himself, right? Then there's the family that comes when you get married and you have your immediate family. But that family is part of a clan, which goes back to CLA and not KLA, and okay, the clan, which goes back to like to the grandparents, great grandparents, that sort of thing. There's no set way, but you figure about 3 generations is pretty much a clan. When you go beyond that, now you're talking the tribe. When you talk the extended family, fourth cousins, fifth cousins. Traditionally, society was tribes. This whole nation state thing is some new shit that is utilized to keep tribes not from existing. Okay, and this is what they do, right? If you look at the Rockefellers, you look at the Rothschilds or whatever, they run their family like a tribe. They do. They consolidate power that way. If you look at Donald Trump, he wants to be down with them. That's why he takes his daughter Ivanka. He married her to a Kushner, okay, into wealth. This is what these people do. They don't want you doing that, though. They want you out here thinking you some sort of an individual, which is coming at some of you guys coming in here. Can't Stephen A have an opinion, right? Because you don't understand the power of groupthink. You probably haven't studied sociology deeply. You probably listened to a couple lectures, but you want to study sociology, you got to go back to a book written by a man named Ibn Khaldun. It's called the Muqaddimah. This is the first book ever written in sociology, and it was written in the around the 14th century. You see, and it talks about that, man. How groupthink is the basis for how empires were built. If you study the Ottoman Empire, for example, which was an empire that ruled the world from Turkey for about 800 years. The Ottoman Empire started out as just a family, a man named Uthman and his children. That's what it was. But that family had more groupthink amongst them than those around them. So their tribe basically took over. If you study ancient Egypt, what do you think ruling families are? They're just a tribe that's ruling over everybody else. Why? Because that tribe has more group think. And they do something that causes the rest of the families and the tribes around them to follow them. Every tribe had this, even Rome, all of them, right? It's the concept of the royal family, which is the example for the other families. Right? This is traditionally the way it's always been done. Right now, we're kind of in a state of denial until it returns back to that. It will eventually return back to that state because that's more the natural state, okay? And I'll speak that more clearly in the future because I'm probably speaking over some people's heads here. But my point is, I'll never be part of that little beta male, alpha male bullshit community because it's nonsense, okay? I'm part of the thinking As the old African proverb goes, that it takes a village to raise a child. And I'm about village building, about family building, I'm about clan building, and I'm about tribe building, which leads to nation building. All right, so that's why I'm not even really deeply into your politics, none of that stuff, because I'm really a grassroots guy, grassroots thinker. Right? What you do is you think globally but act locally, and that's what I got to say. So, till next time, man. Peace out.